style gameplay. Are you gonna, like, things like Baron are often left open by Fnatic. Are you gonna fall for that kind of pick and go into that Black Feather on that kind of scenario?
Yeah, as long as they can have a counter into it, because you know, Fnatic has lost with that Black Feather because they allow the Sky and Barons to get to late game. So as long as, you know, you give Fnatic an early game and they don't force that advantage and you scale with your late game composition, you would do well against Fnatic. And that's why I think draft-wise, Fnatic should probably opt for a late game composition because of their playstyle, unless they've changed it. And they're going to go for that with a Baron first pick. All right, so they're changing things up. They have not first picked Baron, I don't think, ever. Usually it's like a Black Feather or something, or a Captain, but Baron has never been a first pick for them ever, I've seen.
Yeah, it's not been the priority for them. I think it's important to mention for everyone at home, this is being played on patch 2.6. It's not going to be the new update that came out in the last couple of days. This is still update 2.6. So Idris is going to be the pick for Qlash. Very standard counter pick to the Baron.
Yeah, typically one Baron comes through, Idris, if it hasn't been banned already, is immediately grabbed. And without the Catherine being on the table either, Qlash has themselves set up nicely because that's one of the big things that can counter the Idris. So as of right now, Qlash going to be feeling pretty confident with these first couple picks.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to ban Baptiste because Qlash tends to ban Baptiste on the B side as a second pick. And also Fnatic plays Baptiste really well. So I feel like Qlash has done their homework, and it's a very smart ban on their side. Regarding Fnatic on the A side ban, they will normally ban, if Lyra or Cath isn't banned, Vox, but Vox won't be banned here, so probably a jungler, so Scarf is going to be the one that they decide to ban, which is interesting because I feel like Baron works well into Scarf, and we've seen that happen with last week's results.
I think they may have been worried about Qlash picking up the Scarf to go with the Idris, because then you have that all-in engage with that really massive backline damage as well. So I think that's why the Scarf ban comes out, but this just allows Qlash to go ahead and take that Grace, and Grace works well into Baron and works phenomenally well with an Idris. So
yeah,
Qlash is I'm almost willing to say right now already that Qlash has won this draft.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, they normally like ban away a captain like Cath or something, and I'm surprised that they did not pick the Grace here and then pick the jungler. And now I think they lost draft because Baron is Grace and Idris is so strong. I mean, Idris is going to be able to survive and stay in a backline, but they are going for that late game composition like I talked about because that's what they're good at. So they're going with Sky, and then Qlash is going to finish off with the Samuel here. So it's a very interesting composition. Sky does counter the Grace. They both do really well late game, so it's going to be based on how they're going to outplay each other here.
Yeah, and once again, we're seeing this Baron Sky combo. This is something that has been being seen a lot more commonly. I think a lot of it is down to the interaction with Grace, right? You pick Grace because it's good into Baron, then you pick Sky because it's good into Grace, and it's kind of like, often with these drafts, it's a little bit of kind of rock, paper, scissors in, oh, you pick this, so we pick this to counter it, but then they pick that to counter it, and it's kind of back and forth like that. How are we feeling about the draft so far and going on into this game?
I still really like the draft that Qlash has. I think just Idris Grace is such a strong duo. You throw a Samuel into the mix as well, it's a very difficult team to kill unless you can get everything focused onto the Idris. But if you do that, he's just going to get Divine Interventions coming out. And so there's a tough matchup for the side of Fnatic, but if a Baron gets online, if he gets that 4-item spike, and they can focus down a target, get the Divine Intervention out early, and then try and switch targets or something of the sort, maybe there's a chance there, but I think Qlash definitely has the draft.
All right, really quickly, Sweetjay.
Qlash has early game, mid game power spike. Samuel, Grace is strong early. Also, Samuel, Idris have the biggest power spikes mid game. Late game, Fnatic wins for sure. So let's see what Fnatic does with the late game piece.
Well, we've seen Fnatic lean towards the late game in general, as they like to play the early game often quite passively. We'll see if that's going to be the case. They seem to vary their play style. Let's see whether Qlash can take the upset here. They've got a good draft, but it's time to jump into the game. Hashtag Vainglory8 to let us know who you're supporting on Twitter. But it's time to throw it to our casters and get on into our first quarterfinal to decide some of our seeding.
And thank you very much, Munchables. And ladies and gentlemen, Fnatic vs. Qlash. Welcome to the Halcyon Fold. We are ready to get this game underway. I'm here with Denominate, aka D-Money. And to start things off, HF Guy already playing some games here. He's taken this very fast Grace into the opponents early on. And he's going to actually get rooted up here. Denominate, I didn't even expect this to happen here. HF Guy, you're going to go down, net booting forward. In Europe, are they going to give us a tasty little first blood treat? Yes, they are. You guys, welcome to the game. That's your first blood. Denominate, you didn't even have a chance to say anything.
Didn't have a chance to say anything because the action was so quick there. Graces we do typically see be very aggressive. I don't think he was quite ready for all three of the members of Fnatic to be there, and it paid with his life, and now they're going in on Agony.
Yeah, Agony taking a bunch of damage. HF guy, he's gonna jump in with the Benediction. Agony trying to juke around. He finds the kill. Should go down to Palmatoro. Palmatoro, he's in a rough place, but there's no boots. Can you get out of here? HF guy actually maybe able to catch up. Let's see. He's gonna kite back, Benediction in, and takes him down. HF guy.
This is definitely one of the quickest starts to an EU game I've seen in a while. HF guy being very aggressive, but Palmatoro was absolutely beautiful on his engage as well. So gonna have to see. Skye is still in her really glory state. Very aggressive hero, can really do well at all parts of the game, specifically into the late game. So it's gonna be all about Palmatoro getting online here, as well as Techno JJ really playing for that late game aggression.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how it plays out. Net and Palma making their way up from the jungle towards lane. Impale lands, but Mercedes with the Shimmer Strike, they're doing a good job. And HF guy buying a bit of time, so a little bit of damage put out here by Fnatic. Expect them to make these rotations up. They can't find the kill, but not really a problem for them right now. Agony, though, what's the rotation going to be here? He's going to be impaled up. Ford Barrage is going to connect. Palma trying to straight make it happen. Holy Nova misses towards the top side of that fight as Agony kites back. Malice Inverted coming through. Benediction from HF guy. The Drifting Dark's down. D-Money, they're going on to Net. Net with the two-man getting wall, but Techno from the lane comes down. They've traded 1 for 1. Now HF guy on the run. Palmatoro gets his target lock. And he's going to move forward. This should be a dead Grace. Rest in peace.
7 kills in, just 3 minutes into this game before going on over to Fnatic. And this is pretty interesting that Fnatic is taking the early game the way they are. I really expected the Samuel hitting level 2 and Mercedes on the Idris to really try to push with HF guy. And it just hasn't worked out that way yet. We obviously need to get some gold onto Idris before he's able to take off. And we have HF guy now working towards a fountain, but it looks like we might be getting ready to have a fight down here in the jungle.
More fighting, this time over the Elder Treant right now. They're going to drop aggro as it moves back over towards the side of Fnatic. Let's see if this is going to play out here. Yeah, I wonder, Denominate, like, how much of this has to do with the fact that it's the last week of regular season here for the Vainglory8, that these teams are going to come out and they're like, dude, let's just play. I mean, both these teams, they're sitting in a great place right now overall. Of course, Fnatic sitting up at the top of the leaderboard in points. They got to feel really comfortable here.
But I think realistically they both feel comfortable here. Obviously, hold on, we got a little bit of fight going on.
Yeah, Impale, Suri Strike in. No problem here for Mercedes.
Yeah, no follow-up. The Shroud Step does get him out. Both of these teams have to be feeling pretty comfortable, though, because they are locked in, basically, to go to the championship. Obviously, Fnatic being up at the top right now, they're feeling really comfortable. But for the side of Qlash, you know, they need to pick up some points this week so they can really try to improve their seeding. They are locked in to go. We will see them at the Unified Finals, but definitely looking to pick up a couple more points here so they can maybe work on getting an easier start to their bracket moving into those championships in LA.
It's very exciting stuff. Little Ford Barrage coming out here from Palmatoro as he catches Agony down in the jungle. Net continues to throw those flares out, has vision over the Tri-Brush, so important. These guys, I mean, while they're playing aggressively, they're still taking the proper precautions.
They're definitely, you know, playing a little bit on the cautious side. Palmatoro is coming into the lane to try to find Mercedes, though.
Yeah, he's all right. Mercedes just continuously trying to farm. He's got that book of eulogies, right? So he's just getting his last hit sustained. But with 3 here from Fnatic, the pressure does start to actually build up. Ford Barrage just coming from the top side this time. Palmatoro is just really trying to look for that perfect angle, apply some of that Ford Barrage damage, and then get back to his jungle as quickly as possible.
Yep, and Agony now, level 6, saves the basic attack, that Corrupted Genius, getting the farm in his pocket. Oblivion now will be online, so this is really an opportunity for Agony to really have a big effect in these team fights. He can use that ult to potentially zone the enemy from running away, could get a good sleep down onto Palmatoro, which would allow Mercedes to get a heavy engage. And obviously, the Drifting Dark just does so much damage with those empowered Malice and Verdicts.
Yeah, so much damage can come out there. And of course, the Frostburn first, he's going to have a little bit more utility than damage if he had gone in another build here. Actually, impale into the gifting wall. Palmatoro really not quite connecting with the full damage. He wasn't target locked there. Jump jets back from Techno. So we have Qlash moving forward here. Now, Qlash, I think they're doing a good job thus far. The net worth pretty even, 6 minutes in. It's 4-3 in favor of Fnatic, but Qlash hanging in there. Agony making an aggressive play. Palmatoro almost a full forward rush connecting with the Suri. The death from above cut his path off, but Agony healing up. Now he's on the aggressive. Palmatoro, he's under the safety of his Crystal Sentry. Let's see, Mercilli's drops down. Net tries to steal it from over the top, coming down with the NPL over the wall. And Qlash are going to get out of this one. It really looked like Palmatoro had the advantage in the beginning.
Well, he did, and HF Guy actually did burn the Fountain of Renewal onto saving Agony there. So that is now a cooldown for the side of Qlash, and Netwillet still has that available to him. And really what Qlash needs to do here is they need to abuse these rotations from Samuel a little bit better. They had a good opportunity to push a wave into turret and have the siege come out of Samuel, and they just didn't take advantage of it.
And on 3 here, that's going to be the Impale missing, but the Iron Cannon's down. Fnatic trying to make a play, but Net's getting lit up. Net has to self-found, and Palma dropping low as well. Mercilli's, he's getting in there. The death from above is going to scare Qlash, though. I can understand why when Baron connects with a couple of attacks there. Agony dropping low. And what seemed like, it seemed to me like Qlash could have jumped in for a fight there to nominate, but they didn't.
It was a little risky. Agony did get dropped very, very low. Obviously, you talked about the zoning death from above was beautiful. But Skye, again, doesn't need that target lock in this patch as much as she does going into 2.7. So that unlocked forward barrage still chunked Agony out pretty quickly, as well as, obviously, the damage coming in from this Baron. But again, realistically here, Qlash has a composition that should be able to push the lane very heavily, should be able to aggress the lane and prevent Baron from being able to get farm, and they're just not doing it. So as this game gets later and later, I'm gonna have to start leaning more and more on the side of Fnatic.
Leaning on Fnatic. All right, Fnatic, do not let Dean Money down. I don't want to have him disappointed here today. Fnatic has 3 moving up into the lane. Impale actually connecting Mercilli's once again, just repositioning back. But if that root catches you, you know, like you reposition, but you're still rooted in place there.
Yeah, it does still provide the root, which is pretty nice. It will give Palmatoro and Techno JJ an opportunity to, if that happens, get some damage down. But oh, here we go.
Agony rooted, they jump forward, looking to blow Agony up. Is he gonna go down? Divine Intervention keeps him alive. Denominate. You can thank HF Guy later. Palmatoro gets turned around on, and Team Qlash take one down from Fnatic.
Beautiful, beautiful Divine Intervention from HF Guy there, saving Agony just on the edge of his life. That damage reduction doing so much work. And this is the opportunity now for Qlash to put some damage down on this turret. Looks like they might be aiming for Techno JJ though, and that's a lot of lost damage here onto this first turret as well. 9 minutes in, only having it down around a quarter of its health is definitely a little bit behind where you want to be with Samuel.
Agony taking the mids away, but kind of dodging out Net's Impale as he moves down through the jungle. Looks like Agony might just go for a little bit of a jungle rotation here. But as you said, yeah, it feels like an opportunity maybe being missed there. I mean, is that a big deal for them, or is that just something that we're noticing?
It definitely is a big deal. Samuel, when going into ranged heroes, really just needs to be more of a siege hero. He functions really, really well onto melee heroes who have to be in the front of his damage to try to make an engage, and that's not something we have. We have a Skye, we have a Baron. The only one you're really going to be able to find easy damage on is Netwillet, so you should be using your aggression to help Mercilli's push the wave. Some good splash damage down there, though.
Really good splash damage coming out. Agony. You know, the best Samuels, I think they'll move up. They just throw Drifting Dark right across that angle as you come into the brush there. And immediately the Mouse is connecting onto 3. Very beautiful stuff. And with this Qlash, look to apply some pressure onto Fnatic. But moving down towards the jungle, flares are out from HF Guy. They see Palmatoro, but Agony will snipe away the mid right in front of Palma. Doesn't feel too good, man.
It doesn't, and fortunately they are taking a little bit of an advantage. Only a couple hundred gold right now, but getting Agony into that late game Samuel build is definitely going to be important. Again, every time we get this rotation up, though, he's trying to find damage and just hasn't been able to find damage on the turret because he's been aiming for TechnoJJ, trying to force him out of the lane. And once he's forced behind turret, you should really just, you know, the chakrams do a lot of damage onto that objective, as well as the empowered malice and verdicts that you can literally sit there and spam because of the quicker cooldown of the drifting dark. But oh man, a good route from Net.
Yeah, two-man impale. He tries to land the Githian wall as well, but suddenly Qlash are on the run. That drifting dark just comes out really quick from Agony. That's going to be on cooldown. We'll see how this is going to play out. HF guy, Benediction onto Palmatoro. What's the play? Net finds an impale on the top side. Ion Cannon's coming down. Forward barrage melting through. Qlash, what are you going to do? Shimmer Strike buying a little bit of time. Mercedes, he's on a Techno, trying to can't take him down. Techno's got the damage. They move forward. They find a stun onto Agony. Agony's down. Double kill for Fnatic. And this is what we're talking about. A little bit of EU Vainglory8 in the morning. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting game to watch so far, and now Fnatic is going to take this opportunity to push the turret. One of the really big things that happened in that last fight was HF guy actually used the Divine Intervention onto Mercedes to get him that health, get him that protection. Mercedes used the Shimmer Strike at the same time, so unfortunately we didn't actually get the healing or damage reduction out of HF guy. So it was really a wasted Fountain and Divine Intervention in that last fight. If they would have made it onto Mercedes, that fight could have turned very, very quickly, but, you know, Fnatic played it really, really well. HF guy aggressed by himself, and a good route on the backline from Net was able to get a lot of damage down from TechnoJJ with having Mercedes stuck in one spot.
Man, that seems like a really big deal, and you gotta wonder if that comes down to just panic or miscommunication, maybe a little bit of both. Actually, Agony rooted up, stunned, they come through, 408 damage, they're locked on Divine Intervention, buys him another second, but of course they will lose Agony. Fnatic on the chase now, Net knocking HF guy back, Benediction just gonna buy some time. How about death from above rains down upon HF guy? And there's nothing Mercedes can do, he just watches in horror.
Yeah, you don't want to be in a 1v3 situation with a Baron and a Skye for sure, especially since Palmatoro actually has that broken myth complete now. 13 minutes into the game, they are going to clean up this gold mine and bring a 3,000 gold lead into their pockets, as well as Palmatoro trying to get some of this farm and extend that lead a little bit more, as well as top his energy off. This is, you know, really the point of the game. You know, now Baron has his 4th item complete, that he is going to be a absolutely crazy damage threat in this game. You have to be careful not to group up here if you are Qlash. If you want to find a victory throughout the rest of this game, we can't have both carries standing on top of each other.
I don't know why I just imagine them standing on each other's heads when you said that, but so what is the best fight that Qlash could take, right? Because you're saying right now Baron's hitting that power spike. They can't clone up. We know what they can't do. What should they do?
Well, I mean, realistically for Mercedes and HF guy, obviously they have to get into that backline. They have to either find a clear shot of damage onto either Palmatoro or TechnoJJ. And Agony really needs to fight around the edge of the fight. He needs to drop a good drifting dark that allows him to shift his position around the edge so that he's not always throwing those Malice and Verdicts right into Net Toilette, because that's not who you want to get the damage onto. But Palmatoro getting some forward barrage damage down here.
At this point,
looks like they're not
you
gonna
can really apply this damage fairly easily to Dominate. It appears, you know, every time that they kind of see just a glimpse of Qlash, they'll move through and they just kind of strafe and just, you catch one or two of them, you build up some broken myth stacks. Suddenly, it's a really scary situation to be in.
It is a really scary situation to be in, and one thing I do want to point out about these builds here is Net Toilette on Lance has actually gone for an Echo. So it's going to be really interesting in these fights to see what he uses on it. I think it's very likely going to be on the Githian wall. So Lance functions very closely to a Catherine into Idris. Idris obviously having to dive the back line to get damage. But actually, here we go.
Net's on the front side here. He finds one stun, he finds two. Techno finds the damage as well. And the HF guy blown up. Net dropping low, Agony kiting back. Techno jumps in aggressively. 604 damage, Shimmer Strike, and buying a little bit of time. But it just buys a triple kill for TechnoJJ. What a monster.
Yeah, this Baron, 4 items in, 15 minutes now. We do have the Kraken on the board, and Fnatic, no questions asked, is going to go ahead and start that up as TechnoJJ pushes this lane. we're at the point that Baron is just going to be so difficult to kill. Obviously, he has the anti-crowd control on his jump jets. That's going to be able to get him in and out of fights easily. Palmatoro now has the Eve of Harvest, going to help with that energy regeneration as well as the sustain on this Sky. And again, Netrolette with this Echo really going to be looking to make sure Mercedes cannot safely engage onto either of the carries for Fnatic. Again, it'll very likely be used on the Githian wall, really just to keep Mercedes back away from Baron. Because that's where Idris is good into Baron, but here we go, we got a fight.
Jump for they're lighting them up, D-Money! They take Agony down in just a matter of moments. Techno, another jump jet sport. Mercedes, he's got to trade. It's his only option. He can't stand his ground. He's down. Fnatic have taken 2. And the Kraken just now joins the party, takes the last hit on the choke point turret. And I gotta say, man, this looks like the end here for Qlash.
This should, by all rights, be Fnatic's game. We still have death timers for Agony and Mercedes, and the Kraken is basically full health onto this Vayne. That is going to be game number 1 now for Fnatic, going on over and looking to really extend their first place lead.
And I feel like the only chance Qlash would have had, maybe if you play things differently, but if you could do this Divine Intervention on the Vayne Crystal, maybe they have a chance here. That was quite the showing out of Fnatic. Very impressive stuff here in game 1. And is the pace. I think this is going to have a nice pace to this series. This is going to be a great day of Vainglory. But to go ahead and break this one down for us, we have our boys back at the analyst desk. Guys?
And then 11:30 was when they pushed it.
Welcome back to the analyst desk. What a game coming out from Fnatic. They managed to take a lead in this series 1-0. But let's talk a little bit about how that came to pass, because the early game, in the first 3 minutes, there were 7 kills. We started off with a bit of a bloodbath, and then Fnatic managed to take control. So let's, Bacon, talk me through what happened in the early stages of the game. Like, how did it get so chaotic so fast?
Well, it was just both teams trying to play that early aggressive style, and it started off with the attempted invade from the Grace. Fnatic sniffed this out. They knew it was going to come. You have to expect it at this stage of the season, where if there's a Grace, they're going to try and make an early play. Fnatic knew it was coming and were able to counter it, and then things just got really messy. It was just both teams looking to invade, looking to find opportunities to get into their opponent's jungle, and both teams were able to capitalize on their opponents maybe overstaying a little bit.
Yeah, and it slowed down for a fair few minutes, but then this fight was absolutely huge for Fnatic, Sujay.
Yeah, this is a key fight where, if you look at it, they get a kill on Sky here, and then the next fight at the 11th minute. Okay, this was a key critical point in the game here. This is where Mercedes on Idris dives. He still gets rooted. The Divine Instrument comes out, but like the Dominate pointed out perfectly, it does not land on Idris. He does not get the heal. So if he did not use his Shimmer Strike and just jumped onto Baron, he would have survived, got the heal, and they would probably won this fight. So that was a huge turning point. It gave Fnatic the first turret and allowed them to then push their lead, and then they kept getting picks. At 12:40, the next fight, they comboed the Sky Lance combo, got 2 kills, and they had a 8-4 lead advantage and then the 3K gold lead.
Yeah, there was also no chance at all for the side of Qlash to shut down this Baron. You're seeing here, it's not even the 15-minute mark, and Baron has 4 offensive items fully online. That cannot happen. If you are against the Baron, you need to be able to prevent him from getting his items that quickly. There was never really an opportunity for Qlash to try and shut Techno JJ down, and instead he just ran away with this.
Yeah, and kind of beyond that first few minutes where it was a little bit back and forth, and the final kill that happened on behalf of Qlash at around 8 minutes, beyond that, Fnatic basically had a clean game. They just kept on rinse and repeating these team fights, and once again we see Techno JJ managing to grab himself a multi-kill. He got himself a triple during that game.
Yeah, and they took advantage of HS Sky. He kind of face checked the jungle shot bush, got Githian wall, Lance had Echo, Sky. The Lance Sky combo was crazy, just locked on Grace, couldn't even do anything, killed her, and then they got an ace when Baron killed Idris and Samuel together, and that was the end of that game for the other team, and Fnatic just able to push it and win.
Yeah, and I've got to say, we were mentioning for Fnatic before this game how they need to be proactive. They need to make things happen. Even with this, I want to say late game comp in inverted commas, because they didn't play it like a late game comp. Like, they started things off, like really taking it to Qlash. And even though Qlash should technically have the advantage there, they were able to go toe-to-toe and they were able to fight in those skirmishes.
Yeah, and for Fnatic, you know, when Sweet was talking about earlier about how they need to be more aggressive instead of waiting for their opponents to make a mistake, Fnatic is a team that is good enough that if they're aggressive, they can force their opponents to make mistakes, and that's what we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, well, heading on into game number 2, Lyra is going to be the first man, followed by a Baron from Fnatic. So locking that in when they're on the A side, but when they're on the B side, they do not want to get that through draft.
Yep, and it is going to give Qlash Grace here, which means Fnatic will then probably pick Skye. Oh, Qlash is going to actually take Vox here, hand the Grace over to Fnatic, and then maybe potentially take Skye or ban Skye, because as you see, Skye is so good into Grace. It's worked every single time, usually, and it counters Grace so well.
It's also a pick that Palmatoro is proficient on as well. It's something we've seen him play a lot in the past. Agony, you know, he got his Samuel last game, but it just wasn't the same level of impact that we're so used to seeing Agony have when he gets that Samuel. But Batiste, that flex pick that we've seen so often on that B side is going to be locked in.
Yeah, this is a pick that Fnatic is a fan of. They can play it either in the jungle or the captain position. Typically, I would expect it to end up actually going to Palmatoro, but we'll wait and see what the rest of the draft has. Obviously, the Catherine going to get banned away to prevent that combo from going over.
Yeah, wow. So they're going to ban Catherine. If Fnatic picks up Grace here, they're going to take Skye. Qlash is probably going to take Skye into it. So is Fnatic then going to potentially give them the Grace or take Grace and then have a plan against a Vox and Skye composition with probably most likely Lance, because Lance is actually pretty even and decent into Grace depending on how it's played. They actually go ahead and take the Scarf away. So that means it's going to definitely be a Batiste captain. So Qlash now can end their draft with a Grace pick along with Samuel potentially, because CP Blackfeather cannot be played. So Samuel or even Celeste or Skye would make sense. Or they can play aggressive and do like a Grace Kasha combination, which would work really well in this composition because Scarf is so weak early.
Yeah, well, Lance is going to be the lock-in.
Wow,
Lance has really snuck back into the meta recently. He's been getting picked up a lot more than we've been seeing historically this season.
I think with Echo becoming such a prevalent item, a lot of players are revisiting some of these heroes that have the crowd control. And Githian Wall, Echo Githian Wall is so strong. It can just completely deny an entire team for such a long duration. So I think that's why Lance is starting to make a bit more of a presence on the fold. But now this last pick, this is going to be interesting to see where they decide to go with it, because they're going to need something that can contend with the Scarf. So it's going to be a Samuel pick here. It's that can be a tough one because it's no one on the side of Qlash has really a heavy engage aside from that Lance.
It is a comfort pick for Agony, though. We saw him play it last game. He wasn't that impactful, but it's, you know, Agony is someone that we know for playing this Samuel. Now, over towards the side of Fnatic, Suijay, what do you expect for this final pick?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a lot of options. They can potentially go for Idris here, but it's a little risky into a Lance and Fox combination. So they probably will go range. So potentially maybe Kestro, weapon power would be good here, or even Gwen because she can escape the root. But we haven't seen Gwen get a lot of play lately. But I think out of those options, that's probably the best. So they're going with Idris here because they are confident they can play it into a Vox and Lance combination.
This is a very squishy composition, though, from Fnatic. If someone gets caught out by a Lance, they are going to get blown up incredibly quickly, Bacon.
Yeah, it's a high risk but high reward composition here. The lane matchup is going to be absolutely integral. If you can get ahead of the Idris as a Vox, then you can just really take control of the game. But if the Idris gets ahead, then all of a sudden the Idris can start to snowball pretty heavily. So the lane, it's going to be crucial for both of these teams to at the very least, keep the lane even is the goal here for both of them.
All right, Sweejay, I want to ask specifically about Qlash. They're 1-0 down in this series right now. What is it that they have to do to get back in this series to even things up here?
Well, they need to not face check and give opportunities for Fnatic to engage on them. They need tighter 3-man movements, and they need to combo their abilities like the Lance route with the Githyan Wall stun, Samuel, etc., and I think they can take it away.
All right, we'll see if they can bring that to pass. It's time to get on into the second game. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know on Twitter who you're supporting. Qlash fans out there, we need to know who you are. They need your support right now. But it's time to jump into the second game of our first quarterfinal and pass it back over to our casters, Humanist and Denomine.
That's right, we are out on the Halcyon Fold here. Qlash really want to come back against Fnatic here. They got a pretty strong draft early on. We'll see if we have some of the aggression we had of last game, but Denomine, before things kick off, how are you liking these compositions?
Well, I think, personally, I do think Agony is a really good Samuel. I think they need to focus a little bit more on the pressure in the lane and just use that Samuel to its advantage. HF guy with the Lance really hoping to do the same work that Netwillet was able to do last game and really make it difficult for an Idris to make it onto the backline. I think Vox should win realistically in the late game, but you know, Palmatoro on Scarf is going to be an absolutely massive player to watch for me this game. Scarf is something a long time in the EU meta, but man, we have a little bit of a push coming down here out of Qlash. Not quite going to get up. They are going to take this Elder Treant while they are here.
Yeah, they're going to take this Elder Treant. It was a little bit of a forceful move. Net almost grabbing that with the bad mojo there. He'll make his way back up towards the lane. Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting matchup. For me, D-Money, I think it's going to come down to Netwillet. Whether or not the Vox can be successful in this game when we get into that late game team fighting situation, can he land that fearsome shade? Not only can he land one, can he land two?
Yeah, the Echo being such a prevalent item right now, it's definitely something that Qlash has to be ready and available for. Obviously, we'll have a Crucible come out of HF guy, but as that second Fearsome Shade comes through, it's really going to be on Agony and Mercillius to make sure that they know that ability is coming and they don't group up. You don't want to give a 3-man Fearsome Shade on over to Netwillet on this Baptiste, because that's going to allow TechnoJJ to really ramp up on you. But here we go in the jungle.
Impale onto Palmatoro, drifting darks down, the Malice and Verdict starting to stack up. Good damage coming out. Where is their laner? Techno, do you want to play games? No! Palmatoro goes down, first blood to Qlash.
First blood going on over to Qlash. That is Palmatoro dropping, and that's going to give Agony an opportunity now to sit in this jungle and try to clean up some farm and really keep Scarf from getting to that late game potential. Obviously, the Samuel can do very well into the double melee here. Netwillet and TechnoJJ will allow him to ramp up Broken Myth stacks later, but we got more fighting going on down here.
Net juking out the Impale, Githyan Wall will connect. And maybe it's time for HF Guy and Agony to get out of here. It looks like they want to take the mid with them. Can it be taken by Palmatoro? No, it won't. Spitfire's not going to land. And with that, Agony and HF Guy, they're like, all right, we're out of here. We got what we came for.
They did, and Agony did a great job at the end of that fight. The Malice and Verdicts do give you a slight speed boost when you use them, so we've seen once he took the Treant, he used the Malice and Verdicts in the opposite direction just to help him get out of dodge quickly. And as now they make the rotation through the jungle, Agony is sitting on 1,1700 gold now, and is really coming up on having that Frostburn soon. So definitely going to be a big spike for Agony on this Samuel, making sure that he's able to keep TechnoJJ in a position that is away from Mercillius enough that he can't get the damage down, but close enough that Mercillius can still follow up with the Vox. But now we have an engage from Fnatic.
Keep him on the leash there. Ordain finds the stun. Get the wall back, but Agony, the Malice and Verdict hitting the lane minions. That's not what you want. There you go on the backside. Palma's gonna go down. Agony finds another one. This guy, Agony, he plays a mean Samuel.
He does.
And they're gonna go for more. Tendo, a lot of damage. Crowd stepping backwards. These guys living just on a sliver of health. Net, he does not have his fountain. This is gonna be massive damage coming out, and this could potentially be a turret here. There's a very good chance that this goes down. Now Palmatoro making his way back out from the base. D-Money, keep your eyes on this. How's it gonna play out? Ordain down onto Mercillius. He's gonna wait it out. They still have the lane minions here. A lot of damage coming out. Impale onto Techno. Can they find the kill? No. This is just a very slow siege. It's painful for Fnatic, but they've kept the turret alive thus far. Can they keep it alive through the whole push here? HF guy taking damage from the bottom side. Palmatoro trying to find the angle of engagement here, and it looks like they may have just fended them off.
Yeah, and this is something I still can't stress enough for the side of Qlash. Agony is constantly... Oh, hold on here.
Ordained, they missed the Spitfire, but the goop goes down. Tetno's there, they find the kill. Impale from HF guy, doing his best, just too little too late.
Yeah, and Qlash realistically there had all of the opportunity in the world to get that turret down and really make life difficult for Tetno JJ in the lane on this Idris. They need to learn when to... Sometimes you give up the kill opportunity. Sometimes you don't push for the kill. Sometimes you push for that turret. You get that 900 gold into your team's pocket, and then you can follow up when that turret's not in the way and try to get damage down on the heroes, try to find kills off the back of that. And that's really going to give them a better time to rotate down through the jungle and take what they can, is if they take the turret, push the enemy back, either get a kill and make them recall. That's really what we need to see out of this Samuel. So Agony needs to really focus on the objective siege that he should have. But this is turret number 1.
There goes your turret. Well, it took a little bit longer than we wanted, but it does go down. The Fountain was on cooldown. I thought maybe that'd be a problem. And Impale coming out onto Palma. The Oblivion actually as well. They stun him up and they chop him down right there. I was about to say, like, we have the Fountain from net. HF guy had his Fountain. But what happened there?
Well, unfortunately, Palmatoro was a little too far forward, and that's not where you want to be on Scarf. You want to be raining down those Spitfires from the back line, and being a little too far up really put him vulnerable to HF guy there. Obviously, a lot of crowd control comes out of Lance, but then Agony, you know, really taking a moment and capitalizing and making sure that CC is chained together. The Samuel Oblivion, as well as the constant repositioning available from Lance, was able to lock up Palmatoro long enough to actually get hit. No reflex block yet. So that is why Scarf was unable to make it out. And now it looks like Qlash just trying to keep this wave pushed.
Yeah, Qlash doing a good job. Right now, it appears that Fnatic don't really know where Agony is, so they have to respect Mercedes and HF guy, because that's kind of what happened last time. The Impale came out, then boom, Agony followed up. Although right now, Agony's nowhere nearby, so I think Qlash doing a good job actually playing some mind games here with Fnatic a little bit. And the top dog of EU feeling a bit of pressure coming out of Qlash here. Now, Agony's on the backside, exactly where he needs to be. What's the play here from Fnatic? Impale out of HF guy. They're kind of just trying to do a little bit of poking. They're going to fight over this mid right now. Let's see who gets this here. Tetno jumps in. Of course, Tetno is going to go ahead and grab that, steals it up, and make sure that's going to go over to his team.
Yeah, HF guy needs to take an opportunity here to get to shop. He needs to get that Crucible, as Netwillet is now almost level 6, actually just now hitting level 6. So we really need to have that Crucible available. Again, if Netwillet gets a 3-man Fearsome Shade down, it's going to be absolutely devastating for the pushing potential of Qlash. As well as being able to lock somebody up with an Ordain is going to make it very, very easy. But here we go again. The Drifting Dark has been used to try to
I love that Drifting Dark angle.
The angle was good. The targeting was bad. You really want to use that siege potential and just take down the objective as fast as you can. It's not helping to find damage right now onto Netwillet, especially you know, when you have 3 empowered Malice and Verdicts going onto him. That could have been a half-dead turret, if not pushing the whole turret with the team. So definitely something we need to work on is the objective control and the objective pushing power of Qlash. I think they have the composition to win this game regardless. I just think they won the draft. Lance is good into both Idris and Scarf, into Baptiste, as well as Samuel will have the ability to really make sure that Tetno JJ and Netwillet both take a lot of splash damage from the Samuel.
Now, it looks like Net's probably going to build into his own Crucible. That's actually a bit more defensive-minded than I would have expected him to build out, but it feels like it could have a nice effect. On the flip side of the map, though, I'm checking out Agony, and he went for the Eve first, and then into the Broken Myth. A lot of times we see the Frostburn first. Let's see if the fight kicks off, but If it doesn't kick off, we can talk about those for a second here. Flares coming out from both teams, trying to control the Tribe Rush here. HF guy clears off Scout Trap. Just the tip of the Impale lands, get the wall onto net. But this is huge damage onto Agony. Agony, you gotta run. Mercedes zoning out Palmatoro on the top side. Agony, can he live through this? Tetno is on target. He gets the regen, the Fountain coming. He was kiting backwards. They're able to take Tetno down. The Dragon's Breath burns Mercedes to the ground. No, HF guy and Agony on their tree. Ordained onto HF guy. He's got to dodge the Spitfire. The combo's coming out. The goop comes down. Palmatoro, he's on target. He's the dragon, baby. Well, Drifting Dark's gonna come out the other way, but Agony, you don't have very much health to work with, mate. And with that, it looks like this will be the end of the fight. HF guy lands the Impale. An attack, the Githian Wall, one attack, combat roll forward. He's trying to find it, but now he's in a dangerous position. Dodges out the Spitfire. I thought the fight was over, and it officially is.
Fight is over, and I actually do like the Crucible out of Netulette. You talked about it maybe not being the really aggressive playstyle you would have thought Netulette to go for. The idea behind this is he doesn't want Tetno JJ or Palmatoro to waste their gold right now on getting a reflex block for that Oblivion. They really need the Scarf and the Idris to have the damage, so that's really the thought process behind this Crucible. We see now he has the energy battery and is now working into that Echo. Yeah, I do think that the Crucible is just a smart purchase for Netulette here, though.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. That's a nice way to break that one down. And yeah, it's just more money in your carry, in your jungler's pocket, ultimately, so they can build up a little damage. Let's see how this is going to play out. The Impale, the stun, Net taking a whole bunch of damage. Now, the Batiste on the front line is not the tankiest. Net's been doing a good job thus far, but it's starting to stack up. Agony moving forward. The Drifting Dark should be timing out here any moment. Palmatoro, reminiscent of the Impale just a couple minutes ago. The Githian Wall, Palma getting lit up. Palmatoro, you are not that tanky. You have the damage, but you're not the tanky. Fountain's coming out. They turned it onto Agony. I didn't see it coming. D-Money, they melting them down. They're getting two. HF guy should go down as well. If they can chase up to him. Control him out. Tetno jumps, follows him. The Githian Wall will stun him up momentarily. Net waiting for the Ordained to land. There's a pretty good chance HF guy gets away here. Chakram's gonna come through. Net, bad mojo, pops him on the butt on his way out of there, but a very good fight for Fnatic. HF guy's gonna hang around, but this should be a gold miner going their way.
It should easily. Scarf so good at taking objectives, and we see it right there. Obviously, Gold Miner's not going to walk out of the goop the way the enemy hero would. And now Mercedes and Agony making sure they get some ambient off of these jungle camps here. I think that's really smart. Obviously, we need to get some defense onto Mercedes just so that he can really stay in the fight longer and really ramp up this breaking point that he has built. Agony does now have the Broken Myth complete, and this is the real danger for Tetno JJ and Netulette here. However, Tetno JJ has gone all the way into an Aegis already.
Yeah, very quickly he went into that Aegis, which is interesting. As we were talking about the Crucible coming out for Net, these guys, a lot of priority on these blocks here, because I was wondering before, like, what are you actually trying to block? The Oblivion, the wait for it. Now they can kind of deal with multiple things, and that one used for the Impale. Now Agony and the Drifting Dark, they're trying to get onto this turret. This was your criticism before. The stun comes out, the Fearsome Shade, they're running away, but Tetno, he can't get on the target. He's gonna Shiver Strike, trying to buy a little bit of time. 3-man Githian Wall comes out here. HF guy, HFY, Fnatic, all down. An ace for Qlash. Denominate, how do they do it?
That was a absolutely beautiful fight from Qlash there. Obviously, we've seen Tetno JJ jump onto that front line and just took so much damage so quickly. Agony had some pretty good positioning in that particular fight. Netulette got a good Ordained down, but then again, the Malice and Verdicts give you a little bit of movement speed, he kites backwards, and then Tetno JJ's already used all of his gap closers to get into the fight, and now can't find Agony, and HF guy is standing in his face. Triple Githian Wall, Oblivion comes down. Again, there's so much combo potential out of the Samuel, the Lance, and the Vox that's really what they need to do to win this game. They push 2 turrets off of that ace and take a pretty sizable 6,500 gold lead into their pockets.
You know, the moments like that are just beautiful. And I think the key word there in your analysis for me, combo. They comboed up everything very nicely. They chained CC Tetno down. He couldn't get on target, and if Tetno JJ cannot get on target with his Idris, it's really falling very flat. Let's see if they can correct these mistakes moving forward here. Fnatic as 3 making their way back out onto the map here. And the Qlash have a solid control. They have a net worth advantage, kill lead. They have the momentum going their way. And if they keep this up, they can tie this series up very easily and push us into Game 3 here very shortly.
They very well could, and being at 14.5 minutes in this game, we are obviously going to go ahead and take this gold mine, having seen the recalls of Fnatic there. So that's going to be a little bit more of a gold lead now going into Qlash's pocket. 190 gold, decent payout. So sitting around a 7,000 gold lead, but more importantly, the Kraken is ready to come on board, but we got a fight breaking out.
Net,
Oh.
you gotta get out of here, man. Sketchy situations. Now, Net, we're going to be looking for the Echo, the Fearsome Shade Echo here, all right? If he can land that, that was one of the win conditions we talked about for them earlier. It's going to be hard to do, but they could really disrupt a fight from Team Qlash. HF guy misses the impale, Net sensing it, dodging it out, drifting dark. The Malice and Verdict starting to connect, with that goop kind of slowing them down. I don't know though, Techno, he's getting lit up. They're on the retreat. What is happening, Fnatic? It's like they decided not to fight. They're not running. We're fighting the Dragon's Breath. Palmatoro's tried to stand his ground, but it's too late. Qlash has done the damage. They stopped the teleport and take Net let down. Another ace for Qlash, 10-4. And looks like this is a good opportunity for them to try and end this game.
The death timers are getting pretty low. We are only 15 minutes into the game, but there is a lot of damage and a pretty sizable ace wave coming in here. So they're going to split this damage as best they can. Techno JJ is up, and Palmatoro will be up in just a second, though. This is looking like Qlash's game, though.
Oh yeah, this is looking like Qlash's day. Oh, they only needed this one. They only needed that one combo. That's a combo that people will talk about for weeks to come. Qlash making it happen when it mattered here in Game 2. This series is tied up. We're going to have another one of these beauties coming our way here in just a moment. I'm really impressed with Qlash's mindset, Denominate, to lose Game 1, to come back really strong. From A to Z, draft, gameplay, it was all beautiful. But to break this down a little bit more, we got Munchable, Sweet J, Tasty Bacon. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. What a game coming out from Qlash. They absolutely were in control of things for basically the majority of the game. There was just one team fight where they lost control a little bit, but let's start from the beginning. That siege that they set up for themselves and just continually battering down that first turret, beautifully set up by them. Fnatic had no answer whatsoever.
Yeah, and this is what happens if you get a lead in this Vox Idris matchup, regardless of which one it is. Whichever one of these two gets a lead early on, just snowballs the game and takes control entirely. And that's what we saw at Qlash here. They've just put so much emphasis into winning the lane matchup.
Yeah, they did a good job. At the 430 mark, Qlash is able to get the first turret down to less than like almost 10% health. And then they come back with a, at a 6-minute mark and take the turret, and then they get a nice lead. However, in that time period until the 9 o'clock mark, they don't take advantage of that first turret. They don't deny jungle. Fnatic is still farming their backs and their jungle, etc. And in the 9-minute mark, Vox gets 3 weapon items, but they have bad target focus, but still came out on top in this fight here, which worked out for them. It was a nice trade, kind of a nice trade for Fnatic, but Qlash. Then this fight here was a key one where Fnatic gets the AC. So the thing is, they need to combo this better. Like HF guys misses the root, but he lands Githyan Wall, but there's no fallout from Samuel, there's no fallout from Vox. The fear comes out, and then they get the nice counter engage here. And this is Fnatic's chance here to come back into the game. And it was a nice back and forth, but in the end, Qlash has played more decisively, though, and which is why they won.
That fight was like the ray of hope if you're a Fnatic fan. It was like, oh, maybe they can come back into this one. But the fight following that at around 12:30 during the game was definitely the moment where it was like, okay, I think Qlash have got this one in the bag.
Yeah, this was when all of a sudden, you just had that team fight win. You're feeling good as Fnatic, but then the engage here, they get a lot of damage onto Agony, but just not quite enough. And by the time the Dragon's Breath comes out, they've already gotten the kill onto Techno JJ, and then a big stun is just going to be shutting everything down. I mean, it was just a massive burst from the side of Qlash, and you see everyone, all 3 health bars just kind of disappearing around the same time.
Yeah, just not enough damage coming out from Fnatic to actually finish these targets
Yeah,
off.
it was a beautiful 3-man Githian wall there, and that's what made the fight. Scarf didn't land Dragon's Breath on Agony, so Samuel got out of it and didn't get killed, and I felt like Fnatic could have comboed there. They had a good engage, actually, because Agony was out of position a lot of times in a lot of these fights, but they were not able to combo and secure that kill. The only time they comboed was at the 6-minute mark, and Agony did a bad rotation, and they 3-man jumped on him. But other than that, Fnatic was not able to capitalize.
Which is weird as well, because that's something that we usually praise Fnatic on. This was the final fight of the game where, once again, these ultimates just not in sync with one another.
Exactly. Netzalet had an echo. He just got it at the 15-minute mark or 14:30 mark. He did not use it. The Fearsome Shade came out first, but Idris or Scarf already died. And I feel like Palma Toro's positioning was really questionable in a lot of these fights. And then they didn't use the Fearsome Shade at the right time, and he had both of them up, and it was too late. So that's a fight where Fnatic could have turned it around with the echo Fearsome Shade, and then that ended the fight and Qlash finished the game.
Yeah, and if you remember, at the start of the show, mentioned any team in Europe seems to be able to beat any other team in Europe on any given day. How about this? Two fairly lopsided games, one going to Fnatic, one going to Qlash, and now it's all going to come down to this third and final one.
I really want to highlight HF Guy there in that series as well. I feel like his lance was on point. He was consistently landing his roots, and like you mentioned, the Githian walls would make or break a team fight. So excellent play from HF Guy. Bearing in mind that he's a sub as well. This is not typically their main captain. So great job by him. But now we're going to move on towards the draft for Game 3. Now we've seen, obviously, Game 1, we were saying Fnatic, they needed to play towards the late game. They played the early game anyway and managed to win that one out. And now this game, it was all about the lane. Where do we expect this next draft to go? Is this a predictable direction? Is there something that Fnatic can fall back on now that they're back over on the other side of the draft?
I think Lance is a key role. Both games, Fnatic won with Lance and Qlash won with Lance. I feel like that's a weakness against both teams. So they need to secure that Lance, and it works well into Grace. Both teams don't play Grace into a Lance. So I feel like whoever gets the Lance here has an advantage.
All right, we'll see if that's going to be the priority. Lyra going to be banned away by Fnatic, and now Qlash have to decide whether they want to ban the Baron. It was locked in last time by Fnatic, and it will be taken off the board this time around.
Yeah, just not wanting to deal with the Baron. All of a sudden, this is looking awfully similar to Game number 2's draft, just with the names swapped, as Fnatic go ahead and secure themselves the Vox pickup. So Qlash, multiple different ways they can go with this. They could look for the Grace, they can go for the Catherine. They are going to take the Catherine right away. That's going to force out a Baptiste ban now from Fnatic when it gets over to them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Qlash was one of the teams actually that they did not pick Baptiste when it's open when they had Cat. They actually picked Samuel. So let's see if they do play the Baptiste, but I think Fnatic's going to ban it anyways to be safe. And I think here they should ban probably Grace, because Grace is good with Vox into a Cath. So I feel like a Grace ban could potentially come out here. Yep. That means that Fnatic does have Lance into a Catherine now. So now it's more of a skill matchup, but I think Catherine's just better in the late game here.
Well, the Baptiste is going to be banned away as predicted. You don't want to let the Baptiste-Catherine combo through. That is just a mistake you can't afford.
I think Agony's going to probably pick up the Samuel, because Samuel Cath is really good. You have a Silence, you have a Sleep, you have two things you need to block. And Agony has been playing Samuel really well with the lane sieging. He just needs to work in his positioning in a lot of these fights. If he picks Samuel, that means Fnatic will probably take Scarf with Lance, I would assume, which is a solid combination for them. Or they may actually pick Skye into the Catherine, because Skye is good into Catherine once she gets that Frostburn. So let's see what Qlash will decide. Are they going to take the Samuel, or are they going to give it over to Fnatic? Because Fnatic does want to take the Samuel away from Qlash here. Yes, they are. There we go.
Yeah, getting the Samuel there. I think both of these teams really like the Samuel pick a lot. And so it's just that comfort pick for the side of Qlash. And again, going to leave open their laner now for they can see what the jungle is going to be and then pick a laner that, Vox is kind of like a neutral laner. Like, you can pick anything into a Vox and be able to do well. Like, Vox doesn't, hard counter anything in the lane, so they get to see what the jungle matchup is going to be and try and pick something that can be a little bit more cohesive against the Fnatic jungle.
Yeah, and I think Fnatic here, if they do want to counter this composition, a Fortress with the Koshka, a really aggressive combination would work, because Vox with Koshka is really strong. So they're going to have to go with Cruel and then Lance. So instead of doing Skye or Scarf, they're going to switch it up, and I like the Cruel and Lance pick here. It's a really strong CC comp. Lots of combo coming out of the side of Fnatic.
Great for locking down a Samuel as well, if you can get onto that target. But Catherine will do a great job of body blocking everything. Obviously, that big tanky front line of a Catherine. Now looking towards the last pick for Qlash. Bacon, you mentioned that they want to pick something that goes well into the enemy jungle. What looks good right now?
Well, knowing that there's a Krull on the other side, you're going to want something that has some mobility, has some kiting potential, because if Krull gets onto you and you don't have the ability to kite him, you're just going to be dead every single fight. It's really difficult. So Idris is going to be the pick. That's, if you want mobility, there it is right there.
Idris' melee though, and Crow and Lance are pretty good if he gets CC, so it's a very interesting pick from Qlash. I would have probably preferred like maybe a weapon Kestrel, because Fnatic has to die pretty hard and they have a kite comp. So maybe weapon Kestrel would have done better, but I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do with this weapon power Idris. As long as they're decisive like they did last game, I think Qlash can take this game. But Fnatic has such a good comp. Like Fnatic won draft, I feel.
Now, when we look at these laners, it's Vox versus Idris again. Last game, it was all about who could win that lane and snowball. Is that the same? Is it the lane pick specifically, or was that down to compositions?
It's going to be about the lane, about which of these two laners can get a lead, but it's more about the jungle, because it's going to be which jungler can allow their laner to get a lead. And Fnatic with the Krull is generally a lot better at snowballing your laner than a Samuel is.
Yeah, I mean, how are we feeling about this jungle matchup, Suijay? Because, you know, Krull, we've seen a huge amount of success recently, but Samuel has always been consistent.
Or if early game Krull gets a pass on Samuel, Krull wins with Lance. But if Samuel can push him out of the bushes and not deny his passive, then Samuel just is able to kite him and do more damage, so they can win. So it's an even matchup. It's more skill.
Okay, so all about how they dance around each other and play around vision. We'll see who is going to be able to take the best of that matchup, but it's time to jump into the third game of this series. Let us know who you're supporting. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Fnatic need to win this if they want that first seed by going into the Unified Championship. Qlash, however, they have a real shot at third place if they can take some games here, if they can get further on in this single elimination. Let's pass it to our casters and find out who will be victorious.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Halcyon Fold, and we have Game 3 here between Fnatic and Qlash. Munchables and our analysts breaking this one down for us, and a lot on the line for both of these teams. Denominate, though, I'm very excited for this matchup.
Yeah, this should be one of the more exciting games of the day. Obviously, Fnatic, you know, if they drop out today, they're going to give a huge opportunity to either SK, Mouse Sports, or, you know, well, I guess Dynasty's a little too low, but, you know, Fnatic or Mouse Sports could easily pass, SK or Mouse Sports could easily pass Fnatic here and get that first place bye. So it's very important for Fnatic to get the win here and continue on through the rest of this weekend. I think they do have a beautiful draft here, but looking over at Qlash as well, sitting down in that number 5 spot, 16 points, could potentially find you know, enough points this weekend to pass some of their some of the higher seeded teams here. You know, they could potentially catch up with Dynasty, Mouse Sports, Fnatic, and SK a little too far ahead to be passed.
Mercilli's a little too far ahead as he is chopped down for first blood for Fnatic.
And that is going to be a good start to this game for Fnatic, picking up that bonus gold, specifically onto Palmatoro. Getting this Krull into that mid-late game presence is going to be absolutely huge, but they might be looking to make a jump onto Agony here, and will they get it? They do steal it away.
Well, they steal the backs away, and that is really bad. Now, Agony's going to be in a tough place. Palmatoro hangs out in the brush, just waiting to get empowered up here. We'll go ahead and move on out. Those the flares come out, and he didn't really want to play games with Agony and HF Guy, but they seemed happy to go 2v1.
Yeah, HF Guy and Agony should do fairly decent into a oh man, Nat with the steal. But yeah, Agony and HF Guy should be able to really deal with Krull and Lance, specifically because Agony obviously going to get that splash damage from the Empowered Malice and Verdicts. And Catherine functions into Krull very similarly to Catherine into Idris, in that Krull has to dive, and once he's used his gap closers to get to you, if you stun him up and create a little bit of distance, it's very difficult for Krull to really re-engage. So that's kind of really what HF Guy needs to play into here. Obviously, he needs to build up some additional stacks early on so that he can be that front line and not let Techno JJ really run away with a fight. I do definitely stay on the side of Fnatic here as far as the draft going into the late game, but man, it looks like Fnatic looking to get an aggressive rotation here, but they don't know Agony's rotating up.
Is Agony, does he have Spidey senses, or this is just The defensive rotation into lane, I don't know what's happening with it. Agony's sniffing this out. Maybe it's just the aggression they've had from them earlier, and they've been through this situation before. Malice and Verdict over the top side. Palmatora will secure that using the Spectral Smite. It's such a great pickup. We talked about the regeneration is going to allow them to continue this aggression through the jungle. With that, they take the mid, they're going to take the Elder Treant as well. Fnatic's early game really doing well.
Yeah, and getting ahead with this scroll is going to be absolutely huge. We obviously are going into a double weapon composition here. We'll have a tension bow on both Palmatoro and TechnoJJ. And because of the squishy lineup here that we have for Qlash, if they find the damage onto one target, that's going to be an absolutely huge spike of damage. And then obviously, we know how Krull is if he's able to get onto that backline and really lock somebody down. When paired with this Lance, I think it's going to be a pretty overpowering composition. HF guy is, again, coming into lane trying to find something, but TechnoJJ should be able to make it out just fine.
Yeah, luckily, at least the stun lands. You talked about keeping his stacks up on that captain of the guard. Only at 5 right now, 4 minutes in. That does feel a little bit lacking. Palmatoro moving forward. They saw Agony here. Agony didn't see them. Agony's caught, and he's going to be cut down. Net Toilette credited with that kill, and also looks like Palmatoro, well, they were on the fronts. He takes one of the fronts, and this HF guy aggroes that mid. They'll quickly move over to secure this up. So this is another mid, another front camp going the way of Fnatic.
Yeah, and we've seen that huge spike from that tension bow. Palmatoro actually had just made it to shop to pick that up and then engaged onto Agony. Got basically a whole level lead here, but now they're going into Merciless.
Yeah, not much Merciless can honestly do at this point. He hasn't picked up items. He's sitting on 2,800 gold right now. That is a very yummy amount of gold to be sitting on.
He'll probably rotate back as soon as he cleans up this wave. He has enough to go back and complete a Sorrow Blade now, if that's where he wants to go. I think because of the poke potential of the Chakram, you should go that Sorrow Blade right now. You don't want to go a Poison Shiv first. And that is what he's going to pick up. So there we go. So
how delicious is that, Denominate?
And without giving up too much farm either. So he found an opportunity where TechnoJJ had rotated, Nettoilette had rotated. But now he's in a little bit of a dangerous position because TechnoJJ and Nettoilette are here. I'm kind of surprised an Impale didn't come through right there. That could have been a big opportunity for them to get some damage down. But now Palmatoro rotating over, maybe looking to get another aggressive engage here.
He's got his ultimate now.
Yeah, and into Agony, if he's able to find some damage, is going to be huge. The Scout Trap's going to spot him out, though.
One single Scout Trap like that, Denominate, can completely change an engagement.
Yeah, it absolutely can, and again, as this game goes on, I have to give the credit over to Fnatic. They have the better composition for the late game, and they're winning it here in the early and mid game so far. Good root on the HF guy.
But down in the jungle, Agony's getting lit up. Agony dropping low. Spectral Smite hammers it home. 3-0 for Fnatic, and now there are no Scout Traps to see what Palmatoro's doing. Palmatoro, he's like, yeah, we'll just go for the Crystal Sentry. What does this do for his team?
Well, that's obviously going to get some gold into Palmatoro's pocket and really extend that lead, but obviously the Crystal Sentry also only having 3 lives, once it's defeated for that 3rd time, will stop coming back onto the fold, and that's going to give Fnatic a lot more freedom of where they make an engagement, and here Palmatoro comes on Agony.
Yeah, Agony sniffed it out, but he jumps right in there very aggressively with the Dead Man's Rush. Now he's on the back foot, but Net's here. Net has the Impale. Palmatoro's going to get charged back up, gets right back in. Merciless is here. Shroud step forward. Palmatoro's down. Techno late to the party. He'll Sonic zoom backwards as he realizes the fight is lost.
That was quite the questionable engagement there. Out of Palmatoro, he was incredibly low. He went back in to try to get onto Agony, and the whole team was there, and he had vision of the whole team. He knew everybody was there. TechnoJJ obviously rotating down behind Merciless was not able to catch up in time to make a difference in the fight. That's a first kill now going on over to the side of Qlash, and with 2 kills being on Palmatoro, that's going to be a little bit of a gold spike for them. Nothing major. We're sitting down about 1,000 onto Qlash right now. Palmatoro now working into that Poison Shiv, and also TechnoJJ has the Poison Shiv Tension Bow complete, so that's going to really negate a lot of the sustain potential out of Qlash. Specifically into Merciless, who's going to have that Book of Eulogies, as well as the Fountain coming out of HF guy. So definitely going to be a huge spike for them when Palmatoro gets that completed. He is a couple hundred gold shy still.
A really nice move from Net2Let to go ahead and clear the scout trap and the top brush. That was something I was keeping my eye on. He gets his own down. So now that's going to allow Palmatoro to rotate from the top side if he chooses to do so. Can make it a little bit harder for Mercillius to avoid a stun coming out of that angle from Surprise. HF guy moving forwards, just knock back. This is why the Lance is so good into the Catherine. Mercillius taking a bunch of damage. Oh, the Shroud Step, he'll just get out. Oh, that big from Hell's Heart coming through. But the Impale, they get the Wall, the Dead Man's Rush on in. They've got it. They missed their first attempt, but they'll secure it on the second.
Yeah, the low health pool of Idris there, you know, he is an assassin. He's not the tankiest of heroes. Those two Tension Bow procs literally just deleted the second half of his health there. And now that gives Fnatic an opportunity to pick up this gold mine and really extend the lead they have. We're only sitting about 1.2k here. And now that's going to be recruited up to about 2.2 area. Agony has to be really careful here, though, as Palmatoro has those Shadows Empowered Me ready to go. The From Hell's Heart is down, but man, Fnatic looking like they might want to go in.
Yeah, they look like they want to go in. Scout Trap down and the Shot Rush is going to be a nice tool for Qlash, as that's not cleared out. But you can feel Fnatic are just so ready to go right now, and why wouldn't they be? I mean, they have the Poison Shift, Tension Bow combo on both of these guys. The Lance is ready to go, controlling up these fights incredibly well. And I'm curious to see what Net actually builds into. Is he going to go for this Echo Lance again?
He very well could. Again, Lance particularly good into Idris just in general, able to keep Mercillius from getting to that backline, from being able to get onto Techno JJ. Palmatoro obviously going to be right in your face. So it's not going to be difficult for Mercillius to get past him. But again, if he's going for Techno JJ, especially with the Echo coming out of Lance, there's so much crowd control potential from the side of Fnatic that it just is going to be an absolute nightmare. But man, Agony gets found out in the jungle. 1v1ing Palmatoro on the Kroll. Not the most brilliant thing to do, but that's going to be another Crystal Sentry now going over.
Oh my goodness, another Crystal Sentry. And Net2Let, man, if Net was getting stacks of armor for every Impale, I think he'd have more than HF guy at this point. This is a point of contention here. I'm a little bit worried about HF guy at the rate at which he's picking up these Captain of the Guard stacks here on this Catherine.
Yeah, to be really effective as a Catherine, to be taking advantage of that armor and shield, actually, you really want to be around 2 stacks a minute. But now Techno JJ looking like he might be caught.
Techno, a bunch of damage to Shimmer Strike forward and right back. Mercillius just almost had it, felt that it was a dangerous situation and pulls off of the fight. That will force the Fountain, however, out of Net2Let. So we're going to have about a 50-second window here where maybe Qlash can apply some damage or try to take advantage of that.
Oh, they just, again, this game included, they have not done really the best job of using the Samuel rotations to their advantage. Kroll's literally had his time with Agony here in the jungle, finding kill after kill, now sitting up at 4 kills on Kroll. Samuel's big spike is that he can come in and apply so much pressure, and that's what's going to keep Palmatoro back. It's not going to be trying to 1v1 him in the jungle, it's going to be forcing him to come into the lane. And now we're getting to the point that Palmatoro is so far ahead in his build, even if you force him into the lane, it's not going to do much for you. But Techno JJ finding a lot of damage here.
A lot of damage coming out. Mercillius has to respect this. In fact, he's going to go ahead and teleport home. So this leaves the lane open for Fnatic to apply pressure. And apply pressure, they will attempt to do so. Stun up onto Net. Actually, he even pulls the aggro from the turret, so they'll cancel off.
Down here on this gold mine, though, Humanist, look at Palmatoro going.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking these objectives every time. Crystal Sentry, Gold Miner, he can solo these out. And it's such a great tool for Fnatic right now. They keep Qlash busy around the turret. They take the other objectives, and they've done this time and time again. Impale out onto HF guy, but not really anything to follow up there. HF guy, once again, 13 stacks on that passive here. 12.5 minutes in, a little bit behind. Is this the 3rd Crystal Sentry death coming out?
This is indeed, and that is going to be an objective now, leaving the fold for good. I'm surprised Techno JJ didn't stick around for that 94 gold, but it looks like he's trying to get the rotation up to keep Qlash from being able to push the turret. And,
you know, there's few teams, Denominated, that I've seen take objective the Crystal Sentry out. Well, oh, I thought Mercillius was going to go and try and take that down. Take out the Crystal Sentry as effectively as Fnatic. Cloud9 do it really well. I think TSM does it, but Cloud9 are really clear in their movements. I've seen Nova do it a little bit, but Fnatic, every time I watch them, they are locked on that Crystal Sentry when they can.
Yeah, and now it's gone. 13 minutes in the game, they can really have free reign over where they want to pick their fights. Obviously, the turrets are standstill. They won't chase you through the lane or the jungle, so those aren't as, much to worry about. Obviously, now that we are getting so late in the game, the death timers are getting longer. It's a big opportunity for them to start pushing those objectives, especially if they can find a kill. But if you're in the jungle, there's no safe place to run to. You can't go behind that Crystal Sentry, which does a lot of damage, specifically if you minion candy it, increasing the attack speed and damage output. It's not the position that you want to be in, especially against a Krull who wants to fight you where you have lack of vision, wants to fight you where he can get the jump on you and find good crowd control. Obviously, the slow from Shadows Empower Me and the stun from Hell's Heart.
He's going to go up into the top rush.
He's got an infusion in his pocket too here, so this is going to be an interesting fight as we go forward. Mercilli's in a very vulnerable spot.
From Hell's Heart, point blank range, Impale, Oblivion comes out on the top side, but they've deleted Mercilli's. Now they move on to HF Guy. He's got that Storm Guard out. Isn't it enough to wait for? It's going to come through. They don't want to dive the turret, so they're going to go ahead and pull off of that one. Very strong aggression out of Fnatic. Palmatoro, he'll grab the last gold mine here before Kraken's going to spawn on the map. What is the play, though, Denominate? I mean, if you're the captain right now for Qlash in this game, what are you telling your team?
I mean, it's really got to be HF Guy in the front of the fight. In particular, they're obviously not expecting the Krull coming up from the top. They were able to find too much CC onto Mercilli's, and it's going to be on HF Guy to really try to be the interceptor of that ability specifically. Once the Dead Man's Rush is burned down, you can get a good stun down, and that's gonna keep Krull back. But if you allow one of your carries to get hit by From Hell's Heart, to get hit by Wait For It, to get hit by the Githian Wall and the Impale combination, Mercilli's has to fight. He has to dance around the fight. He's not a frontline. He's not a Glaive. He's not a Rona. But Fnatic making a huge opportunity here. Might even find a kill.
HF Guy melted down. Palmatoro will take that one. From Hell's Heart going to be blocked off by Agony. Happy to do so, but do they chase forward? Mercilli senses that they're low. Fountain comes out. Net finds the stun. Have they been baited in here? Palmatoro finds the kill on the top side. They find the kill on the bottom side. Going over to Tetno. And Fnatic just maybe debating them in a little bit there.
Definitely are. Definitely doing a great job. They clean up the ace, and that's now going to be another turret going on over to Fnatic, extending their lead, as well as obviously Palmatoro down here making work of this Kraken. As HF Guy is now up, Techno JJ is going to leave the minions to clean out the turret, so very good timing on the rotation from Fnatic. And, if they can find one more clean fight, specifically with this Kraken pushing down the lane, this could be looking like a Fnatic game now.
You know what? I'm thinking this is looking like a Fnatic game right now. Fnatic, move forward. Infusions on everybody. Palmatoro is timing out, but he's got one in his pocket. Seems to have one in his pocket every single time we take a look at him, Denominate.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's something you want on the Krull. The Poison Shiv obviously giving a decent amount of attack speed on its own. The Infusion just going to give you that additional burst of damage, that additional weapon attack speed, as well as a little bit of defense. And Krull has a generally low health pool for the fact that he is really like a frontline kind of bruiser role.
Right.
So the defense is so important to him, especially blocking out the crowd control. And he's done a great job of making sure when he goes in onto Agony and the Oblivion comes down, he's blocking that, continuing through the fight, finding damage. Fnatic needs to find another turret here, though, if they want this push to be worth it, or they just need to find the fight, and it's not looking like it's going to happen right now. Here we go.
Oblivion blocked off. Agony in the Drifting Dark, trying to connect the Malice Verdict. He's still on the Kraken. Now, Fnatic are on the run. They make their exit very cleanly as a unit here. We'll see if they try to make a standout on the map, maybe bait Qlash into something here. But Fnatic, I mean, just one more fight, this is their game.
Yeah, they won't even need another Kraken. They have the damage that if they are able to find kills onto Mercilli's and onto Agony, then they should freely be able to just push the turrets in. Obviously, this one turret is so low, but man, Fnatic coming in here looking for that last
step back.
fight.
HF Guy's on the front side. Storm Guard's out. He'll use his boots to reposition his team there. Very nice for his team. to get out of that one, but you can tell that they're playing with fear.
Yeah, they're definitely scared of this Krull specifically. Again, once he gets onto Agony, it is a absolute nightmare for Samuel to try to get away, especially with how well Palmatoro has been timing out on his Aegis use. And now HF Guy rotating into the jungle here is going to find Netralette and Palmatoro.
Not the only one that can survive phase checking there, but he's stunned up. A bunch of stacks coming out here. Stunned up again. That was the Echo coming out. Wait for it comes down over the top. Last Jimmer connects as well. Agony melting. Agony's down. Palmatoro, he's just staying alive. He's sustaining through the fight. Palmatoro, the Krull. The Krull that everybody needed to see. The Krull that Fnatic needed. Fnatic gonna come through, and they're gonna close this one out here. 2-1 in this day one series here. A very impressive showing out of Fnatic, though. I mean, Denami, what was the key to victory here for this team?
From the beginning, I did really not like the draft. Lance is particularly good into Idris, and that's really why we've seen him come back a little bit into the meta, is just because of how strong Idris has been. So both Lance and Catherine can really make it difficult for Idris to have that free reign of damage that we know him to have. This, literally, for Qlash to win this, would have been to find Techno JJ out in a fight. We didn't have a Shiv onto Mercilli's. There was no sustain, and Fnatic really just pushed away with it.
Yeah, I really like the itemization coming out of Fnatic. Maybe our analysts can talk about that for us. But guys, go ahead and break this one down for us. What a wonderful first series.
It's a sad day if you're a Qlash fan, but fret not, they are still going to be going on to Unified Live, but they don't get to improve their seeding anymore. Fnatic, however, they are going to be moving on into our semi-finals this week, and that game, to start out, was all about Palmatoro's Krull. He dominated the early game.
Yeah, got that tension bow early and was able to find so many opportunities in the early game, going into the lane, just really helping to propel Techno JJ over